Representative Detmer.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and committee members, and also like to thank you, the chair, for allowing us to go here, because we have some people here that have traveled here, and also a firefighter from St. Paul that was given a little leave to come over here and testify. And first of all, House File 492, I do have an A1 and A2 amendments. Mr. Chair? Okay.
First, Representative Detmer, would you like to have us lay this bill over for you, or you like this to be referred to Ways and Means?
I know it has to go to public safety.
Okay.
So it was originally assigned to public safety, and then we moved it here to get the hearing. I think it has to go to public safety.
So I will make a motion to refer House File 492 to Ways and Means.
Okay, thank you. And I have the A1 amendment.
I'm just making sure that I did that correctly. Is that all right? Okay. Perfect. Yes, we have an A1 amendment and an A2 amendment.
That's correct, Mr. Chair. And the A1 amendment simply will title this bill the Brooklyn-Larson's Law.
Thank you. I will make a motion to amend House File 492 with H0492A1 amendment. Do you have any further discussion on that, Representative Detmer?
No, that's fine.
Any discussion or question from the committee? All right, seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Passes unanimously. And is A2 yours as well?
The A2 amendment is basically to get it in the way we want it, and I know the county attorney looked at the original bill and suggested that we go with the A2 amendment to put it in the language that we want.
All right.
So,
Thank you, Representative. I will make a motion for the A2 amendment to amend House File 492. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? The motion prevails. All right, so we are in the manner you'd like now, correct, sir?
okay. Quickly, Mr. Chair, I'll make just a few comments here, then I'll turn it over to the parents, Brooklyn's parents. And this bill came to me, or the parents came to me about a year ago, and we sat down and talked about a situation that occurred in Chisago County where there was an accident. Another vehicle went through a stop sign, T-boned the Larson vehicle, and their daughter, Brooklyn, was killed. And they were waiting to get a hearing, figuring that it would automatically conduct a hearing, but the other driver, the other vehicle, got off with just a fine and paid the fine and was off. So they didn't know where to turn to, and they came to me. And I hope none of you ever have to do this, but it's something that I felt was very important, that we take a look at the current statute and how we can correct something like this where the parents did not get a chance to have a hearing, a court hearing. So I know what I'd like to do now is turn it over to Patrick Larson and Ginger Larson, and their other daughter, Katie's here too. And I had both these people in school. They were a student of mine when I was teaching at Forest Lake High School. I've known their parents, and I've known their families over for many years. In fact, Patrick wrestled for me. He was an all-state wrestler, 18 years in the military, and now is a firefighter for St. Paul. So I'd like to turn it over to the Larson family.
Thank you so much for being here. I think I speak for all of us. We're so sorry for your loss, and so please state your name for the record and proceed as you wish.
Chairman, I'm Pat Larson. This is my wife Ginger and my daughter Katie. Thank you for listening to us. September 9th of 2016, my daughter Brooklyn was killed in a car accident when a man ran a stop sign and T-boned my wife as my wife and daughter were heading to school. And through a series of mistakes and missteps, the person that killed her slipped through the cracks. And because of that, he had to pay a ticket for running a stop sign. It was a $130 fine. And there's a grieving process that you go through. And one of the steps is kind of being able to, say your say and talk about forgiveness and just tell them how it affected your life, and that was taken away from us. And so that's something that we have to kind of live with for the rest of our lives. And our main concern is that no other family would have to go through this process of grief and not be able to have their say. So we talked to Representative Detmer, if he could help us figure out a way to make this so no one else has to go through this process.
Thank you. Would you like to speak, Ginger?
My name is Ginger Larson. I just want to say I'm confident everybody that would imagine themselves in our shoes can understand how hard it is to lose a child, but I don't think people understand the extra grief it adds when there should be a court hearing and you should get a chance to meet with the person that caused this, and you don't get to have that. It was a year and a half after her death that we found this out, and it caused all more, sleepless nights over again, and it shouldn't have been that way, and I would hope that this would pass so that other families don't get extra grief on top of their grief already.
Thank you very much.
And Mr. Chair and members, you also have a handout showing, kind of gives you a story that was put out by the Chisago County Press. And I also asked the county attorney, Janet Ryder, to come in and just fill us in on how the language was put together and why this will solve the issue so that does not have to happen to another family. We can't look back and change what happened to the Larson family, but we can prevent this from happening to families in the future. So if Janet Ryder, the county attorney, would come up and say a few things.
Thank you very much. Ms. Ryder. Ms. Ryder, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. My name is Janet Ryder. I'm the Chisago County Attorney, and we're here to support House File 492 and the amendments. To lay context for this process that happened, after the crash, our office waited for the investigation to be complete, and when we determined that there was no other evidence that could allow us to charge the offender with a higher level of an offense, we asked that a citation be written. And in this age of automation and electronics, our process with law enforcement.
Ms. Ryder, could you hold on just a second? Larson family, you can stay there if you'd like. You don't have to remain there if you don't want to. It's completely up to you, whatever works best for you. I just want to make sure you know that you're okay to do what you'd like to do. All right, thank you. Ms. Ryder.
When it was determined that we were not able to charge the offender with a higher level of offense, we asked that a citation be issued, and we were of the impression that this would for sure require a court hearing where the Larsons would have their opportunity as victims to express their position in this matter. Certainly under the Victims' Rights Statute, they're authorized to have that opportunity. However, putting this in the context of the statewide judicial system, our state courts have implemented a payables list. The payables list is a list of offenses that, absent an assertive action by law enforcement and the prosecutor's office, the matters are referred to a payable, and that's what happened in this case. The offender was allowed to pay the offense, and the Larsons were not given the opportunity to be in court and go through the process that they were definitely entitled to. We've taken some steps to rectify the situation within our own processes, but we believe that this has the likelihood of possibly happening again. And in support of them and attempting to avoid this in the future, we are definitely in support of this bill that will create another parentheses within the careless driving statute. Specifically, it carves out another layer of careless driving that results in great bodily harm or death. Those provisions would not be added to the statewide payables list. Those provisions would definitely require a court appearance by the defendant. And it's our goal to ensure that this process takes place in every case moving forward throughout the state. Aside from that, we believe it is additional good public policy Certainly, all careless driving offenses are not created equal. This case is an example of the fact that many careless driving offenses do not warrant a court hearing and can be addressed through a payable, but certainly when there is great injury, we need to be sure that our victims are given the opportunity to appear before the court, and our offenders are required to appear for the court as well. Additionally, this subdivision or this parenthetical will allow all of our systems to better track severe crashes that result in great bodily harm or death. And we think from a public safety standpoint that will allow all of us to monitor these cases better and to improve our traffic infrastructure as well as our judicial processes. So that's all the comments I have. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Ms. Ryder. Representative Cagle.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and Representative Detmer and Larson family. This kind of brings up some memories. My cousin was hit and killed 5 years ago, and the driver was tested blood alcohol level. Apparently, those get sent through the U.S. mail, not even certified U.S. mail, and the sample was lost. So the family was called up to the Lake County Courthouse and said we couldn't press any charges again, or they couldn't press any charges because they couldn't find the blood sample. And so, thank you for bringing this forward, and I feel your pain. So, sorry for your loss.
Thank you.
Thank you. Further questions or discussion? Representative Nelson.
Mr. Chair, and I guess this would be a question for Mr. Gehring, or Mr. Burris, excuse me,
Burris.
the other Matt, Mr. Burris. Just a procedure question here. We're sending this to Ways and Means. Does it have to have a policy hearing in public safety before it can get passed? So it does it have to meet first deadline in the policy committee of the criminal or whatever, criminal justice or whatever, public safety, I guess?
Mr. Burris.
Mr. Chair, Representative Nelson, if the bill were referred to Ways and Means, it could be memoed from there down to public safety and be heard as part of meeting first deadline on the, as a policy matter from, within that division's hearing. So it wouldn't need to be a direct referral from the floor to public safety. It could be through Ways and Means.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to make sure that we don't mess up and make it miss first deadline, seeing as how that's this Friday, and that's why I asked.
I very much appreciate that. Thank you. Any further questions or discussion? All right. Thank you very much, Representative Detmer and the Larson family, for this. Do you have any final words, Representative Detmer?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. And this is a good example where, as legislators, we can work with families and with the law enforcement. I know Sheriff Tyen is here too. He helped a lot and meeting with us, and also the county attorney, Janet Ryder. Is a good example of how we can work together to put something good out to prevent things from happening in the future. So I hope we can get this through, and thank you, Representative Nelson, for making that comment too. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? The motion prevails. Thank you very much. And Katie, I just have to say, my second grader would hurt me if I didn't compliment you on the shoes and the sweater. That's awesome.